Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Helm to Tower podcast. We're back, for better or worse, to talk about the world of Destiny 2 here on our Helm to Tower YouTube channel or on podcast services. Hello, I am Mike Burgess, your host, and I am here with Auri O'Neill. Hello, Auri.
Hi. Hello.
Hello. As I'm sure most people know, like we're a relatively small channel, so we always take opportunities to kind of take it chill. So we've already been away from Destiny. Like it's been a couple weeks since I think we've had an actual episode. But this week in particular, I think we were always going to come back with an episode, regardless. But unfortunately, it is under not great circumstances, so it's not going to be a too much of a fun episode. The discussion we have here, unfortunately, and I'm sure a lot of people are aware. I think like we have. I feel like I'm grateful to like the people who have like. I look at our YouTube numbers. And we're obviously a very small channel on our podcast, and the numbers are pretty always consistent though. So I feel like we have regular people who watch or listen. So I want first off, obviously, thank you all for showing up. Always appreciated very much. So I also imagine a lot of them are already also very knowledgeable on the world of Destiny and games and stuff. So you probably already know the news we're going to talk about, but we're going to just kind of go down and talk about everything in order. And that's obviously the layoffs that have happened at Bungie. We're going to go through some of the articles that kind of came out this week and all the news as it transpired over the past week. We're also just going to like give a vibe check of Destiny in general.
How are we doing?
How are we doing? Kind of post this news and our vibes, and like also just like what we're gonna do, because obviously this started as a pretty focused YouTube and podcast channel for Destiny 2. So yeah, we'll get into all of that. But let's just try and get through some of this news first, and kind of break everything down. As we know, Bungie, as we know now. From this past week, Bungie laid off about 8% of its staff. It's about like 100 people. So obviously, first and foremost, our heart goes out to the people who lost their jobs this week. It's always a difficult time. Speaking from personal experience, I've been through 2 separate layoffs in different career fields entirely over my life. So I totally understand kind of the thoughts that are probably going through some of the folks' minds in those situations of just like, damn, I had no power over this, or damn, I feel like I'm like worthless, or I was not good enough for that thing. None of that is actually true in the grand scheme of things. Yeah. You also should know you are all very talented people. If you worked in art or QA or any of these disciplines over at Bungie, you guys were awesome, and we're grateful for like the work you all did. Despite maybe what some of you, the higher ups, maybe have said or thought about you, we do not feel that way. And obviously, there's always the Destiny community as a whole are filled with a lot of people who have been around for a long time. So I think they are also come with a very jaded mindset and very they're very bristly in nature, as I guess I could say it the nicest way possible. So they came with a lot of their own things, and they probably make it feel even more difficult for you folks. So we are always trying. I feel like we've definitely had, me and you, Ari, have definitely had our fair criticism of Bungie on the show, but I also think we've generally been pretty positive about how much the game has meant to us, and like how much we like the game a lot, and and personally, even with a lot of the challenges going on with the game right now, and with now the studio itself, clearly that's kind of been laid out in the open, that there's a lot of difficult things going on there, and maybe right now, like I still want to play this game and still check out, maybe not as frequently or as hardcore as I have, but I don't want to I don't think I'm gonna sit here and be like, yep, we're done Destiny, or even like done this podcast. We're maybe gonna take more breaks more often than we have before, or maybe not cover it as hard as we do in some cases, because we have a new season coming, and like that season's probably already done, right? Like none of the things that are really transpiring right now are maybe going to be immediately affecting this. We don't know for sure. So it's still, that's a lot that's up in the air, right? So
And that season is potentially going to last like 7 months. So
Yeah.
it's one of those things where we don't necessarily have to rush to do a lot of the things, to cover a lot of the things, to have conversations about everything. So
yeah, exactly. But yeah, let's get into some more like specifics here. I have a couple articles I pulled up. We could gonna read through some parts of them here, and we'll maybe comment on things we really want to comment on, or we can just kind of just go through them and speak as needed. But the first one I'm gonna start with, this was I'm gonna kind of go sort of in the order of events a little bit, because this happened. We're recording this basically like kind of the weekend after a lot of this happened. And so this article is our first one, and this was one of the first ones from Jason Schreier, who I think he was kind of the first, like, I think bigger like a person, bigger reporter to kind of break a lot of this stuff. Besides it just kind of like flooding onto Twitter from tweets from a lot of devs, that was also a lot of people just found out about this stuff. So not great, but
yeah, it was. We could have a whole conversation about how this was handled.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I definitely talk about that a little bit. But yeah, first, let me go through this. This is on the 31st from Jason Schreier. So his report, it says Sony's Bungie game unit cut 8% of staff after Destiny play wilted. Sales of the studio were running 45% below projections for year. Layoffs are a part of a bigger revamp at Sony PlayStation units. Those are kind of like the headlines he has here. Bungie's decision to cut an estimated 100 jobs from its staff of about 1,200 followed dire management warnings earlier this month of a sharp drop in the popularity of its flagship video game, Destiny 2. 2 weeks ago, executives at the Sony-owned game developer told employees that revenue was running 45% below projections for the year, according to people who attend the meeting. Chief Executive Officer Pete Parsons pinned the big miss on weak player retention for Destiny 2, which has faced poor reception since the release of its latest expansion, Lightfall. The next expansion, The Final Shape, was getting good, but not great feedback, and management told those present that they planned to push the release back to June 2024 from February, according to the people who asked not to be identified because they weren't authorized to speak publicly. The additional time would give developers a chance to prove the product. In the meantime, Parsons told staff Bungie would be cutting costs, such as for travel, as well as implementing salary and hiring freezes. The people said everyone would have to work together to weather the storm, he said, leaving employees feeling determined to do whatever was needed to get revenue back up. But on Monday morning, the news got worse. Dozens of staffers woke up to mysterious 15-minute meetings that had been placed on their calendars, which they soon learned were part of a mass layoff. Bungie laid off around 8% of its employees, according to documentation reviewed by Bloomberg. Bungie did not respond to request for comment. So yeah, that's it. I'll stop there real quick so we can kind of talk about stuff of just like, yeah, that's like one very shitty way to do it off,
Yes.
To kind of like, it feels like they kind of split it up in two parts there to like, all right, hey, this, layoff, or not layoffs, but delays to like Destiny expansions are like not really that new of a thing. We've had multiple expansions be delayed before, and like, it's not really the end of the world when those things happen, even though there were plenty of people who acted like they were. So like hearing that, it's like, okay, sure, yeah, especially considering, there is a lot. This is supposed to be kind of the big sort of finale point for the series. I understand that they want to like make it pop off after, Lightfall had, was very not well received. And like, this, I will say, like, personally, like, I don't think the last two seasons were necessarily bad, but they also were kind of, I felt like, a lot of the same treadmill of Destiny we've been on for a while, and they weren't changing enough in the meantime, and feeling like they were like kind of paving this way to a bigger change for this game. And I think that's like a lot of what people would want, right? So
yeah, it's like the one level of like the 45% under projections. I'm sure, like you said at the top, like this is not the first conversation you've heard people talk about this.
Yeah,
absolutely ridiculous. This is not on people,
this
especially
seems...
to find out and then a week later the consequences of that information immediately hit when you're told like, hey, we have to like what's it like survive the storm or whatever.
Yeah, we're survive. Yeah, we'll weather the storm together.
Weather the storm together. I hate
and by the way,
shit.
100 of you are fucking fired.
Yeah, and we're gonna do it in the worst way.
Yeah.
There's no 2 weeks. I hear people got 3 months severance and things like that, which is good. Probably not everybody. I'm sure they're playing contractors that were just like, and tomorrow's your last day of
Yeah. That was one part of it. Is like some of them got 3 months severance and also continued healthcare benefits, but the rest of their benefits when they were laid off, which was the 30th, lasted till the end of the month. So they only had 1 day, the 31st of October, and then all their other benefits gone completely.
Just absolute scumlord.
Scumlord, like very tactical, like cutthroat kind of business things that happened there. Pretty gross.
Like the projections, like obviously that is like on management. They set that projection. It's so weird, right? Like we imagine this, like where we are now versus where we were literally 1 year ago, right? November 2022, leading into Lightfall, it really felt like Bungie was on top of the world.
Yeah.
And they were about to like hit, and obviously Lightfall disappointed, and that has shifted the conversation for the last year. But to what you said, like, I don't think the seasons are bad. I wish more seasons were like Seasons of the Witch. Yeah. But like 45% feels like such an off number.
Yeah, that seems like a huge like miss. And like I get like those probably were made like probably before Lightfall came out. Or at least I would assume so. So like I can get some idea that like you can bet higher to because you're going into your sort of penultimate expansion. There was like a lot of goodwill going into that expansion, and they assumed it was going to be a decent one, and then like we'll get into it more, but like I think it was either in the next article we'll get to from IGN of like there was a lot of people clearly in the studio working directly on the game that were like trying to get through to people that were above them, like, hey, we need to be doing this or this, or, hey, we should really, like, players are asking for these kind of things or this or that, and we should really be doing that. And I can very clearly see just being like, let's just, they'll just show up anyway. Like, they'll just keep giving us money. And like, clearly that's
work
not
on the Eververse set, we don't need to worry about that.
Yeah. It's clearly not the case. And now like actual human people are like paying for like those kind of really poor decisions and like hindsight looking ahead at like the game, which is like feels like very backwards from like how it feels like we've always seen Bungie, where they are like they are pretty mindful of like they work ahead a lot of times. Like we said, like the new season that's about to drop in less than like a month now, like has probably been done for like just like for like a month plus, and like we're probably like all in on working on Final Shape, working on like the episodic stuff probably was like starting to like start being put into development and stuff too. So like they work way ahead of time and like have like a lot of hindsight for that kind of stuff. Like to not see that like oh yeah, like maybe if we do another year of this stuff, people will like just kind of start petering off, or this, that, or the other. Like it just feels like clearly there was a very disconnect from like what these people who are obviously making these bigger long-term decisions maybe for the game and from a financial standpoint, right, and what people are like the people that are actually making the game. Like it very much opened the door, or honestly like smashed through the door this week of like that clear like separation of like Bungie now, where like clearly like a lot of the people we see every day, the developers, like community people who are now all pretty much gone, or at least a good amount of them that we would see vocal on like social media and to the Bungie channels every day, had a very different outlook on the game and like new kind of had a better pulse on this game, and now like those are the people gone, and clearly the people making these decisions are like nowhere near these conversations, or like have no oversight, and it makes it it puts Bungie back. It puts Bungie back a lot more from just like, oh, they made the they made some, they reskinned some guns for this season. Why that sucks. But that was like, this is a huge leap from that is what it is, to like, wow, this like Bungie feels like almost no better than some of like the the pretty scummy other gaming companies we've seen over the years, making poor decisions. They are now like kind of showing their whole ass with some of this stuff, and it leaves a pretty bad taste in my mouth. Definitely, as somebody who's like, I put thousands of hours in this game. I love it. I've gotten I'm grateful for it to be like brought a lot closer with groups of friends and other people in the industry through it, and now just to like have it feel like it's no better than other things, and this studio that was like, seems like it did right by like its developers and its people, and them acting like they are this like close-knit family or group or whatever, is like, I don't know if I'll ever be able to like trust that kind of messaging from them ever again. I don't think they can take that back now, unfortunately. And now they're just going to be another big money grubbing corporation to me, and I feel like that says a lot, considering how positive I would have even like 2 weeks ago I would have been for Bungie.
Yeah.
So
I will agree on the 2 weeks ago. It's like such a precipitous feeling change, right? Like, I'm just and like, the reason that we can do stuff like this podcast and our posts and build videos and things like that, I think part of that is like the community around Destiny. Like, I've talked multiple times about, I don't really play a lot of like service games or ongoing games. This is kind of like my one outlet for it, and I've played other stuff, but this is the one where I feel like I'm part of the community. We have a voice here, whether or not a lot of people listen or not, that's fine. And I like that back and forth, and I like the cadence that Bungie has always had with that. It's so, we've talked about it a dozen times. It's literally no one else out there has done it like them. The twids and the twabs and the weekly articles about, hey, like, here's just like 5 people from the engineering team talking about like how they want to change the game for the better. That kind of rapport is unheard of. It's not just uncommon.
There's not a lot of it.
It just doesn't exist, and this hurts everyone on that path, right? Like, the community people like Liana, God bless her. I just sending all my love to Liana right now, who got laid off, right? Is like such a literally award-winning community management team, member of that team. And I know for a fact how much people like her and other folks are such an important, essential part of like reaching out to the right team members, getting the right people to write this article so we can present it to the community and have this one-to-one connection that's very intimate and very nice. We don't get this, especially with a game that you're playing every week, right? It's so much nicer, right? Like, one thing to like read Sam Lake talking about Alan Wake and how it's been such a big journey. I love that. And then on the other hand, like, we have this thing that I'm checking in every week. I'm listening to Eris Morn cutscenes every week, and I get to hear from the community team every week, right? Like, it's this whole thing, and they've gutted it. It's just heartbreaking.
It feels like it's I don't know if they can get that back or go back to that kind of stuff. Because presumably it seems like they kind of pointed some of these as like, I don't know if it's in one of these articles I pulled, but like, it was kind of touted as like maybe a little bit redundancy, and maybe some of these things that they've been doing are going to be going kind of to like externally. I guess maybe like they'll go to like people at Sony to do some of these things, like some of the community like maybe some kind of the community stuff, or maybe just like handling the social media stuff. Because I know that was also a part of that layoff. I mean, we don't. Again, it's still it's like barely been a week since all this stuff breaks down. So like they put out. I guess I didn't pull the actual official sort of kind of message they gave us, but honestly, there's not really much to garner from that. Like
it was just very depressing.
Yeah, it already felt like a very like milk toast. Like we know we lost your trust, but well, we heard your feedback on Lightfall and the final shape, and it's just like, what are you even talking about? Like, I don't think there's been like that negative of sentiment to Lightfall. The negative sentiment is, I guess, their numbers is because their horrible projection they made, and now their pre-orders for Lightfall are lower. That was also part of this news. So like, I guess they look at that as like, oh, people don't like it, even though like I don't think that's the actual problem. It's more that you kind of screwed up this other thing already, and now you've kind of started this domino effect, and like you need to clearly work on this stuff and figure it out. So yeah, and not a good first impression for sure.
Not at all. Lightfall was already like the best selling expansion since the launch of D2, right? Like it had the highest peak player count on Steam earlier this year ever. So like I think I can see because hey, this happened to a lot of corporations right now, redundancies and whatnot. You can just see the clear path of like pre-orders for Lightfall are really high because of the announcement last year, and they're hiring up and they're spending all this money, and then Lightfall comes out and it doesn't hit long term, like player investment wise, what they want to hit, and the seasons suffer because of that. And also like the huge factor of 2023 being what it is for like standard video game releases.
Yeah.
That is affecting Fortnite and Apex and Warzone. Like all these live games are hurting right now because there's just a lot of competition right now for your time. And so the executives see the numbers go down of money that they're earning, and they're like, all right, well, we gotta cut things now because we want to take away our big bonus this year still. And it's just like this. I say it like this because like this has been happening at many corporations this whole year.
Yeah. Oh, I think with this layoff and just general, people have like shown like the total of people who have lost their jobs across the game industry is over 6,000, and that's like insane. That's like entire studios that like could be made within that number of people that go off and do their own thing at this point. And hopefully that's what happens, or maybe they find other places, but like clearly like something is rotten to the core with this industry right now, or like I think like whatever the trajectory was because of the insanity that was like the pandemic and COVID sent a lot of these companies and studios on a trajectory that like clearly was not the right trajectory and sustainable, and like they have not like, and they're just like that's like just finally catching up to them or something. Like it just seems all wrong, and clearly like a lot of stuff needs to change, and like I really want our whole industry to be much more vocal about that stuff. And like luckily I feel like at least a lot of media people are, but I'm hoping that's like being more reflected in like going to these various studios and like these much larger corporations, and like internally it's being talked about like an actual very serious note of like, we can't like how many thousands and thousands of people are out of a job this year. Like how can we not, how do you not look at that and not see that as a problem?
And like it's the worst because I'm sure if you compared it to like the financial, like people who are buying video games this year, people who are consuming video games or playing them or engaging, like it's probably higher than it's ever been ever. And yet the people that are making them are getting fired hand over fist, and projections are down or whatever bullshit. It's just like clearly there is a skew, and it's not on us and people like us to figure that out, right? It's on the people that are overspending on giant offices that are full of no one, things like that, which happened to Bungie and things like that need to understand like, oh, you're just burning money that is going to then burn people. It's
pretty rough stuff. It's just the human toll is just it's unbelievable. It's too much.
With other things going on right now, it is unbelievably heavy right now. It sucks.
Yeah, it really sucks. Like it's one of the things I think you said it on the Nintendo podcast we do, on our main channel of just like, this should be a time where we're like celebrating this industry and like looking at it positively when there's also a lot of other really crappy and horrible things in the world right now, but like we can't because like this is the like this industry is like basically
who's left to celebrate.
Yeah,
right?
it's like who's left, and like everyone's like just being like thrown out and thrown to the side and just gone or just like don't even want to be in the industry anymore. I definitely saw people like that. Of like there were some people in this Bungie layoff that were just like, yeah, I'm done with this industry. Like I can't do this anymore.
And that's
like,
a lot of people. Like how many times have you heard that they get chewed up and spit out? Like QA testers that like try to become game developers that just get absolutely treated like second class citizens. You know, it's all too common.
Yeah. Horrible stuff. Continuing with the horrible things, let's talk about, I'm going to move over to the second article we have. This was from Rebecca Valentine over at IGN. She got some kind of more internal reportings and basically, showed Pete Parsons, the CEO of Bungie's whole ass, with this quote there where it says, an internal town hall meeting addressing a Monday round of layoffs that impacted multiple departments, Bungie CEO Pete Parsons allegedly told remaining employees of the company he had kept the right people to continue working on Destiny 2.
I hate this shit, man. It's so fucking infuriating. Because I don't know about you, but I've been in those meetings before.
Yeah.
And it makes everything worse, objectively worse.
Yeah. That's never the right never the right thing to say. And like you can sit here and say like that's, you know, that was taken a little bit out of context because you don't know the full thing you may have been saying about that or whatever. And he obviously put out some tweet that was like talking about how sad he was with this, but that was obviously like the most generic, like obvious like kind of tweet to make about these kind of scenarios.
Yeah.
And, you know, didn't talk about any other things. So it's just like, oh, come on, man. Like, it puts like it delineates that this, like, you know, there's clearly a higher up management issue that is like they're very disconnected from what's actually like what probably is involved with actually making Destiny and in the game, maybe even games as a whole, and are just kind of in it for the money, and it kind of feels that way now more than ever with this. And yeah, again, they've kind of destroyed a lot of trust with myself and probably a lot of other people. So yeah, that's where that is. So yeah, gross quote there from Pete. So let me continue here in this. Speaking to multiple current and recently laid off employees, IGN has confirmed reports that Bungie took responsibility for the layoffs rather than laying them at the feet of the parent company, Sony. Yeah, that's been in a couple people's, because I think like there was other reports from Jason, and also I have another article from Paul Tassi, but he also did some reporting himself, and I know that was like a common thing that was like Bungie took responsibility. This was like Bungie's screw up in terms of their horrible projection they made and and how that kind of led to like, you know, and the general decline in interest to Destiny this past year. Like that's kind of they were kind of put it on themselves. I feel like they can't really. I mean, yeah, like, I don't think with all the things that came out of this, if they tried to put it on Sony, that would have only made it worse at this point.
Yeah. Because
like there was also the thing about talking about like all the money they got from Sony, which was just a year ago, was apparently already gone. A lot of that was supposed to be or isn't anymore all at the same time. Was supposed to be really factored into like keeping a lot of the employees there. That are already there. Granted, you know, that probably is going to be a lot of senior people that have been there for many, many years. So like, I'm sure.
Not all of them. We can get to some of the names on the list. Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah. I'd forgotten and remembered, and then I got angry.
Yeah. There's definitely some much more surprising cuts made here. But yeah, some of that was supposed to be for retention, and I think some of it also went into shares that these employees would get, and this also came out, I think, was like kind of just really awful, as basically when the Sony merger happened, a bunch of employees got shares for, you know, to continue to work at Bungie, and then they would basically get payouts over time as these shares kind of, I guess the term is like ventured And so basically that's like they have like a certain amount that's the entire share, and they would get payouts thanks to having those shares in the company.
I do that. I get this as well. Like I work for anonymous large corporation, let's say my day job.
Right.
And so like every October I'll get a set of vested shares. The way it works, right, over the next 3 years, I get a third every year.
Right.
But if I'm not here, those just disappear. They go back to the company. It's like they
Yeah.
never gave them to me. Or if you get the first vestment, right, the rest of it just disappears. And
Yeah.
I guess it was about to vest for the first time in November. And then they all got fired before it could. So.
Yeah, and they just and regardless if it was it would usually be like if they quit or left, but because they're being laid off, they don't get it anyway, so they're just kind of losing that money for no reason other than the higher management's fuck up to do this. So it just it felt extra kind of gross.
Yep.
To do that. So let's see. I'm gonna continue here. Parsons told employees that the layoffs were largely due to underperformance of Destiny 2 over last year, as well as lower than expected pre-orders for upcoming expansion, The Final Shape. IGN can now independently confirm reports The Final Shape has been delayed to June 2024. So again, Jason Schreier originally broke that when I was like first hearing about layoffs. And then that also The Final Shape. So then the IGN is also independently reporting this. They have not officially said this yet, so we don't know official things, but it seems like Jason and Rebecca are pretty trusted reporters. So I feel like it is all but likely that this is happening. And The Final Shape is not going to be February, but June 2024. I have an article that's like the most recent thing in all of this news from Paul Tassi that we'll get to after this, and that he also kind of alludes to like, this is happening. They just have not made the official statement of it yet, and what's going on. I'm kind of assuming we're definitely gonna get official statements from them, obviously, about it. I kind of hope it comes alongside. Maybe it's taking a little bit longer than it should because they are taking the time to like kind of lay out a plan, rather than just being like, hey, it's gonna be in June, and we're gonna make the best it can be anyway. Moving on, and like nothing, and they kind of don't say anything else. So we'll see. We'll just kind of just have to wait and see. And Marathon has been internally delayed to 2025 after being in development since 2019. So I guess Marathon was apparently supposed to be in 2024, but now it is no longer that. So that's also pretty interesting considering that would have been kind of wild to me to have Marathon and The Final Shape out in the same year. Granted, I think they would have come out at probably different times, like probably Marathon or Final Shape in February and Marathon in like the fall or something. But still, I think that still would have been weird. But I guess for all intents and purposes, it still doesn't seem like they're ending Destiny anytime soon. And even though the future is very murky, more than ever it has been before, but we'll get into the Paul article. But he kind of said like, he's still hearing from a lot of internal people that like Bungie's main focus is to be a multi-IP studio. So like, I don't think they're going to be stopping Destiny once they make Marathon is basically the ultimate point there. So continue Rebecca's article here. Employees were also told that Destiny 2 player sentiment was at an all-time low. Sources tell IGN that this issue has been flagged to leadership repeatedly for months prior to the layoffs, with employees begging for necessary changes to win players back. One former Bungie employee recalled that they were repeatedly assured following the 2022 Sony acquisition of Bungie that there will be no layoffs, and cited an item from the Sony quarterly report that claimed $1.2 billion of the $4 billion acquisition was going explicitly towards staff retention. Multiple employees confirmed that money was distributed to employees who were fully vested, with money split into multiple payments over time, varying based on discipline and seniority. So there you go.
That sounds right.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, but yeah. It's been brought up so many times, this like employees were told that after the merger, and
don't worry.
It just makes me so mad. I'm like the type of person that is also like so terrified because I have a lot of medical issues and go on leave from my job on occasion. I'm so terrified of like getting the call that's going to get you fired, and hearing people talk about like that sensation basically this whole week at Bungie, as people were kind of snuck off to the side, and then it's like, all right, your whole life is over now, upended
good
real
luck.
quick.
Yeah.
I have nothing but empathy for everyone that is going through this.
Yeah, it can be pretty terrifying for sure. Just if you but if it happens, you kind of mentally prepare yourself for it for the future, and also if you're fortunate and able enough to financially do that. So it's rough, and it's never a good thing, especially when it feels like you are doing your best and doing everything you can, or it's like you have so many people talking about Bungie being this like dream place that they wanted to work to, like this is like a dream studio to work at, and now just seeing this all go down, I can't imagine how it feels to just get that ripped from you, and then also be like there's lots of people still there, literally still thousands of employees still at Bungie. We it's over 600 some people they said working on Destiny specifically.
Yeah. So
the other half of that is Marathon and other smaller stuff that they're working on. So just being left over from that, and then like being very mad and upset about the decisions that led to this. That and those people clearly are not getting any of they're not being ramified for these decisions in any way that's like meaningful. Only people that are super passionate about this job and this place and being a part of these disciplines are the ones being affected. So that makes it just all the worse.
Yep.
So let's see. Let's move on here. Basically, here we go. Parsons was criticized in some quarters for calling the layoffs a sad day at Bungie in a tweet, which similarly angered several employees we spoke to. So yeah, she has the tweet from himself, which he absolutely probably got roasted in the quote tweets and replies.
Still getting roasted as far as I know.
Yeah. That's
right, justifiably so.
Yeah, basically, that's for sure. Today, I'll read it here. Today's sad day at Bungie. We say goodbye to colleagues who have all made significant impact in our studio. With these exceptional individuals have contributed to our games and Bungie culture has been enormous and will continue to be a part of Bungie long into the future. So yeah, very just like
copy paste
PR junk. So let's see. This one's especially explicitly thinks this is multiple employees claim that internally Bungie leadership has tried to obfuscate the numbers and departments of those impacted while discouraging employees from asking questions in those topics in company chats. So this was, I think, before some of the like full numbers came out from Jason Schreier, which it's now over 100 people, 8% of staff. So that's pretty shitty. IGN has now heard of layoffs impacting the community team, art, engineering, recruiting, legal, audio, QA, creative studios, and IT, with impacts across both the Destiny 2 and Marathon teams, including multiple members of the company's diversity committee and accessibility club. Those impacted are receiving a minimum of 3 months of severance and Cobra health benefits, though other company benefits terminated immediately.
Just like thinking about the people, the commenters, right? Like our half of the community, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
Like the influence, for example, of folks at Bungie. Liana, to give her another shout out, has epilepsy. Big influence on having the right warnings and placating to the right triggers in the game. And earlier this year, Paul Tassi had a seizure, right? Found out he was diagnosed with epilepsy, right? Like, just like one little thing that this one person, again, going above and beyond in her station, to be fair, is like leading the charge on a cause within Bungie that has a real effect on people that we know and follow and hear from, potentially you as well, listening every day. And all those people are gone. All those things are like, no one is going to be there to check on those things again, because like I know things like this, I'm sure you've done projects and aspects of projects like this at your jobs too, of like, you're the person and no one else gives a shit.
Yep.
You show up, you do all the work, and you make sure everything is checked.
Yeah,
Again, to an award-winning degree in some cases.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, yeah, there's tons of people who like do that kind of work or go above and beyond because they really love their job and the things they do in that space, and like, to like us, we're gonna see that way more to like like some pencil pusher motherfucker like person just in there for counting checks and banking money at the top of Bungie. Like, they might see that stuff and go like, oh cool, but like that's not making us money, like whatever, like that's what they're gonna do. They're gonna be cutthroat about it and shitty about it. And like talking about like some of the people that were laid off that were in this group, like another big one that we learned, I think like in the like later into the week, was both of like two of the biggest music composers for Destiny as an entire franchise are done. So it's Michael Salvatore and Michael Seacrest. I think they're both Michaels. They both got laid off. They didn't make like tweets or announcements. I think they're really on social media. Like, people figured it out by going to Michael Salvatore's like portfolio website, and he literally just like took a bunch of Destiny accolades or things working on coming up like off the page, and just put like gone fishing or something. And then I think in one of Paul Tassie's kind of reporting things, like reached out to him, and like he's I don't have the email he replied to with that, but like he shared that, and I was like, wow, what an absolute like cool person, amazing person. Like, it's one thing to be like, he's literally worked at Bungie. I think he said he was like there since the 90s, so he's been there for like decades. So like, sure, there might have been a probability, like, a chance where like, we've learned that he is the Final Shape soundtrack is like essentially like completed. So like this could have been intentionally like, even regardless, he could have like probably had the Final Shape come out and he'd be like, I'm done anyway and retire. But now he doesn't even have that opportunity. He's just got fucking laid off. And like, that's just like that just feels also like that could have been a scenario. And then like some cold calculated, corporate motherfucker just like knew that was they probably just went like, well, he might be done anyway in like a month because we got what we needed out of him. To like put it like bluntly of like that. And that could have been totally how they looked at it and just went like, peace. And like, he's all how much time we've definitely talked up the music on Destiny. I love tons of amazing.
It's part of the whole thing.
Music that's like definitely one of the big things of that. And now he's after the Final Shape, we're not going to hear any of his music anymore in Destiny, and that's going to be a big change and a big difference potentially for this. And just it's gonna be wild.
That was like a thing that immediately gutted me about the future of Destiny, right?
And like again he was one of the people that got laid off, and Pete Parsons motherfucking says stuff like, we kept the right people. Like, you gotta be fucking kidding me, man.
Unbelievable.
Just makes your blood boil, and our blood's boiling all over again. I knew it was gonna happen, but this is also just like, I think it's venting session for us, because again we're just we like everybody. We love this game. We put thousands of hours in it.
We love the people that were there.
And like this, again, I don't see myself full on just never playing this video game again. But it's gonna be it's still like.
It's weird.
It's weird to like want to like try and attempt to even play it right now.
Yeah, I'll tell you, like, grinding Festival of the Lost is not on my list of things I'm going to be doing this week, right?
Nope.
I haven't really logged in the past couple weeks because, Alan Wake 2 came out, a game that I've been looking forward to for 13 years and wanted to play, and now all this happens just to like, and like there's that undertone that like almost wants to make the player feel bad, right? Yeah, and it's like, and put this on the community, on us. It's not on us at all. And it just that also makes it so much worse. Boy.
Let's see.
Get to the Paul Tassi article.
I think I read it up. There's a couple of things in this Rebecca Valentine article, but let's go here. So I have the more revelations from Paul Tassi here. So here, I'll just read it here. This was literally like a day or two before this. So I'll read here. As I continue to investigate the past week at Bungie and the circumstances that led up to mass layoffs and reported delays, I've learned new information to paint a clearer picture after a lengthy conversation with someone with inside knowledge of the situation. There's new info about how layoffs happened, staff reactions since then, and the state of Destiny 2 and the final shape. So first he goes off into layoffs. So management said other levers were looked at to avoid layoffs. When employees asked if one lever was executive compensation, they were told no, and that would not happen at the company.
Ugh.
Fuck off.
Yeah, whatever,
update.
dude.
So he has an additional update from that. It says post-publication, I guess, of this specific article, Bungie responded saying that CEO Pete Parsons and some other executives previously forfeited annual bonuses before the layoffs, but staff was not informed this happened until yesterday. Some total of those bonuses given up is not clear. Like, it's a bonus anyway, so these guys are like still making millions of fucking dollars. So this is like a big boo fucking who, like,
just
whatever.
Smells so sus too.
Yeah,
like, well,
yeah,
they
whatever.
didn't tell us until yesterday. That,
yeah, conveniently. Anyway, internally, really no one is blaming Sony for this, even management. Some employees were told that if the Sony buyout did not happen, that with the current Destiny 2 performance, the studio itself would have been in jeopardy if they were still independent. So that's also pretty crazy to hear, right? Considering they got that billions of dollars in influx, and now they're under Sony, so they definitely do have a little bit of that kind of, I guess, canopy to an extent. I really want, like, there's definitely a big question mark too, because like they're talking up a lot about Sony was really not involved in this, but now, like, with all of this news coming out like this, the clear fuck ups Bungie did, I wonder if this behooves Sony to maybe step in more directly with this kind of stuff. I don't really know, but like also at the same time, like, Sony's also in a weird place because, you know, Jim Ryan's leaving, and like PlayStation is really the only like thing really making a money right now from a lot of like the reporting to folks to do. So maybe they're just kind of dealing with their own shit, and they're doing a lot of restructuring from all that stuff. So maybe this is also a reason why a lot of this stuff was not really going under the radar, and all these kind of things Bungie are kind of screwing up. Like, I don't know. It's a whole mess. Let's see. Cannot be fully confirmed among employees, but at least to some, Destiny 2 director Joe Blackburn is not really considered to be one of the corporate culprits here for how things went down. Yeah, like I kind of assumed that as well. Of like, Joe's the game director. He works directly in the game and like does definitely do managing of employees, but like I don't think he has anything to do with like the financial. He's not making financial projections for the game, and you might be working directly with the people who make. You might be working directly with some of those people when like decisions and things are being made and stuff. But like I don't think he's doing any of that stuff. So yeah, I would not really. Again, it seemed like a lot of the reporting was like a lot of the people we like. We only really know Pete Parsons, but a lot of the other people we don't really know. Like we don't know like, the chief financial officer or business suit people at Bungie, really. We just know Pete Parsons is CEO. So he definitely has some parts in it to an extent, but like there's probably a lot of other chief level, executive level people that are also there that were making decisions and clearly fucked up and are kind of the true problem here. Except the expensive new building was a separate project that likely would not have saved jobs given the context of when that was drafted and when work started. Similarly, the $1.2 billion in employee retention from Sony was spent long ago, often on buying out employees, Bungie shares, which then went to Sony. There's nothing left in that pot to avoid layoffs, which wasn't what it was meant for this late in the transition. So basically, he's saying, there's a lot of confusion with they built a whole new studio that was double the size for them, and that felt very weird. Now that they did that, and then that recently finished, and then a bunch of people are getting laid off not too soon after that. So it's like, Why did they do this? In hindsight, maybe it wasn't the best decision, but it seems like that was made so long ago. There wasn't really like going back on that. So weird to say.
Yeah.
So let's see. Next up, it says the trend line of spending on the game over time made the current year's revenue estimates somewhat logical. So yes, the 45% miss is important and was not necessarily some wildly inflated projection. However, nearsighted it ended up being. There has been real damaging loop post Lightfall in terms of player engagement, spending, and Lightfall sold very well. So that was definitely a good specification of like you said, like Lightfall was like one of the best selling Destiny expansions, had some of the highest player counts the game has had, but I think its poor reception like killed a lot of enthusiasm for the game. And then the seasons post that, while were decent seasons, they were not really like driving people to like spend money on the game or like spend money on microtransactions or like getting other things. And like, yeah, I think that's like fair. I get,
and like it's like,
okay, go ahead.
I know Lightfall brought in a lot of new people. I got to play with a lot of those new people,
Mm-hmm.
and they had a great time. And I know a lot of people like see stuff like that as like, I want to come in, play through the expansion, and then I'm good. Like I want to bounce out for the year. And you know, obviously it's a business, and on some level you need to do what you need to do to like retain those players and want them coming back for more. But like I just, the approach of, you know, like let's shove more things into the Eververse on top of Destiny being this impenetrable game that it still is and has been for years, like where a lot of effort could have been put into that. And I'm sure like Guardian Games was like internally Guardian Ranks was internally what they were trying to do, and they wanted to do more with that. Again, knowing that they were yelling up at the ceiling to like, hey, these are problems we need to address, like, and getting no leeway on it. I'm sure that was a factor, but it's just it feels, and again, all the other video games that came out this year, it just feels like it still feels unrealistic to me.
Yeah, it clearly feels like they made these in a time where like I think the player sentiment was much higher before Lightfall. They did not, you know, they still had COVID holidays. There was not a lot of other big games on the market that would have like drawn a lot of people's interest. And so yeah, like I could see this and you know, them knowing they're going into this big Ultimate year that thought there was going to be more momentum. Like, you know, that's I think that's also just like a general like very corporate, and you know, again, a major issue again with the industry where like, you know, the terms of infinite growth and like, you know, spend, take these bigger pushes for bigger wins. Like that's all this in like there's so many people at the higher up in this industry that's what they're going for, and I think that's also comes from like a lot of that like bleeds in from like the tech industry in general. It seeps into gaming, and like gaming just is like that's not how it works, and it's, you know, as big as it is and as you know, as bristly it is, I think they need to, instead of going higher, they need to get wider, and they like I really hope all the things transpiring this year, I really hope that puts something in there, but also like, you know, money talks. So I unfortunately also think there's a high chance that like it doesn't all of this horrible shit that's happening this year is not really going to change things in the near term. But you know, we'll see. Continuing on here, employees are extremely angry with leadership now. I think that's pretty fair to and understandable, and have often communicated that publicly in meetings. Bets were made that did not pay off, but those who made them remain in the company. A fact lost on no one. Yeah, I mean, we said it even ourselves. Like, you know, the people who made these decisions should be the ones who reap the costs, not, you know, the people who are, you know, like Liana, the community manager, or Michael fucking Salvatore. Like these are the people like that should not be you know, blamed for this
Suffering.
or suffering for it. Yes, yeah. So next on, he has some things about Final Shape. The Final Shape delay was known by some a couple months ago, but it is happening late enough where they cannot There cannot be a 30th anniversary size drop to split the season, as that took around 8 months to build. There will be something in the season 23 gap, though no specifics. Like, yeah, that's like, honestly, like, that's not really my my interest right now, is like not necessarily being like, oh no, is there going to be an interest in Destiny and this? Like, you know, they're gonna put out the final shape and they're gonna try and right the ship. But like, yeah, like right now it's like it's hard to be.
It's so hard to be like even excited.
Upset about like, oh no, they're gonna just put out more reskinned guns or something. Like, I don't care. Like, sure, whatever, man. Like, I don't even know. Like, they could put out something really much cooler with next season, and that could still potentially be like, yeah, I don't know, I don't want to play this right now. Like, like they need to do more than that right now for sure.
Yeah,
to get my trust and interest back in the game. Anyway, from there is they want the final shape not to be not just be as good as Forsaken or the Taken King, but better. Hence the good, not great feedback that will be polished during a delay. It needs to be the best and is viewed as the key turning point to turning things around. So hey, that's a big aspiration.
No pressure.
But yeah, that's putting way more pressure on a bunch of people. You just like super pissed off.
Yeah, that's like. We'll summarize at the end.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. So there's more here too. Is for sure. The Final Shape campaign and features are reportedly quite solid, even in its current state, ahead of the planned future work. But they want to go even further. Excuse me. And there is some concern about crunch to make that happen, even with a delay. So.
And more people to help probably would have been useful.
Yeah, so you like about 100 extra people there to like kind of help in various different departments that manage a whole different bunch of things.
Yeah, like a delay plus layoffs is like it's like the worst combination ever.
Yeah, 100%. Like it's just also the way these layoffs went down too. Like they just seem like really, really gross and like calculated and like handled clearly very poorly by the management, and like it feels like so many things that were just like, wow, can't believe it's the studio that's seen in such a positive light kind of had all this stuff going on this whole time. It's really, really a bummer. So now he has like some overall Destiny things, little kind of news bits here. A part of the new PvP strike team was impacted by layoffs, but significant progress has been made on the map pack already, and it should not be canceled. And they put update. Have heard player security teams were hit heavily as well. So yeah, I mean that's pretty rough, because I mean, like, you know, Destiny's definitely had its ups and downs with security and cheaters, and especially specifically in PvP. So like, if a lot of their security team is gone, like that stuff could be popping up all over again soon, and that's gonna definitely make like all of this work that this strike team is trying to do like at odds, because it's like, hey, you made a ton more maps and that's cool and we appreciate it, but like it's finally here, but now it's gonna be, you know, now it's filled with people like flying over the map with like grenade launchers that have infinite ammo or something. So we'll, you know, I don't know how to feel about that, but you know, it is what it is. Let's see. No significant changes have been announced to staff for the long-term future of Destiny 2 plans because of these layoffs and the delay yet. No known plans to reduce support for D2 below old ahead are already planned levels. No new info about the long term of something like Destiny 3, which I did not get the sense was really on the radar. That's definitely, I feel like, popped up all over again. This always feels it pops up when times are tough with Destiny, but I think more than anything, like, this is the first time since this kind of has cropped up that I've ever felt like, you know what, maybe
it makes the most sense.
Maybe this is an avenue they could try and go to get a lot of people back in, or especially a lot of new people in, because they burned too many other people, and I don't know how to, maybe that's just how I could see them positioning it, because they how cold they just kind of generally seem right now about all this shit. But even so, like, that's got to be years and years away at this point, regardless, because like now we know Final Shape is not till June next year. Assumedly, we're still getting the episodic content that follows and continues that stuff. Like, assumedly, because, you know, I don't know how they pitch that, because, like, even if they went like, oh, we're gonna put Final Shape out, and then we're gonna be done with SE2 and we're gonna go on to something new, then they're gonna have a bunch of people being like, well, I pre-ordered the Final Shape and all the content that's supposed to come a year post that. Like, now you just made me pay for all this extra stuff, and like that's gonna piss people off even further. So like, I feel like they have to at least deliver on a good chunk of the content post Final Shape, even before they even consider like moving on to like a new full game, or something like that. But so I don't know. I don't really know what they do there.
And that takes years, right?
Yeah.
Like that would be when the last time Bungie did that, they still had Activision supporting them.
Yeah, multiple studios inside. Yeah,
and that was significantly required for them to get that project done. And it also launched in the state that Destiny 2 launched. So
regardless, it still came out. Yeah, not great.
And people talk about like that first Curse of Osiris Warmind, like early Warmind, not late Warmind, being the worst time in Destiny history. You can't risk another one of those after something like this.
Yeah,
it's terrifying. There's no right answer here, basically.
Yeah, for sure. It's like I really don't know, and it's still so soon from that like it's hard to see them going that route yet. But like it still could happen and longer out than
a clean break makes more sense now than it ever has.
Yeah,
but
it's still
it
still might not even save it. So like or at least like get
make
it back
things worse.
Get it back as much as they fully need to. So continuing on here, in-game LFG has been tremendously difficult from a tech perspective, and reportedly was announced to the community before the devs themselves. It is far more complicated than players will understand, even if it seems like an obvious thing the game should have. It'll launch, but it's been a tough road.
I hadn't heard that part yet.
Them straight up saying it in that live stream earlier this year was the thing that was like, yeah, we're doing it. Like, wow, that's pretty crazy. Apparently, if that's like actually how it truly went down, like that's wild. Yeesh. And like feels like largely like I get that's like it will probably be a positive thing for the game, I really hope, but in the grand schemes of things, it also could have just been something they didn't do, and I think the game still would have been fine. All things considered, you just would have had to, people just had to man up and use the sites and stuff, and I think that's like not that horrible. But yeah, we'll just have to see with that. We'll see. Hopefully, it's received well. There have been many meetings about microtransactions where many devs wanted to reduce them, but they were always given the reply that they were necessary given how expensive Destiny is to operate, and complaints about new ones don't always reflect reality. Event cards may seem lame, but they sell well, for instance, or you'd be surprised how many people are still buying the oldest expansions that we always say should be free now. Well, I mean, of course they're going to fucking buy them, because that's how you play the game.
Yeah, you don't have a choice.
Like that, you don't have a choice on that one. So, like, I feel like, yeah, fucking course. So, like, that's like, I get, so sure, they get money from those.
Hearing people buy event cards is wild to me, though.
Yeah, I'll admit, like, I bought like the first and maybe second one, but I stopped getting those pretty soon after that. So, like, yeah, I did spend a little bit extra money on those in the game, but like I've stopped pretty hard on a lot of my extra spending, like over this course of this year. Very more recently, that's for other reasons in my personal life. But regardless, like that definitely the decline in interest in that stuff, and like we've definitely complained about the microtransaction shit in this game for a while now, and like clearly there are people at Bungie who are also like upset by that, but like. Again, that's once again the money pushers, the financial people. Like their job is to care about the money coming in and making sure everything is operating a certain way, more so than like person on the internet X or Y are happy about what microtransaction is this amount of money or whatever.
Yeah, it's it's become such a boiling point for the community this year, especially, right? Like we've talked about it. It's been a topic on an episode of this show for us, and we're definitely like the most like, hell yeah, I got that Kitsune mask. Like, who gives a shit? Ready to rock out. And there was a time where it's like, yeah, I love Destiny, so like I don't care.
I was more positive because I was enjoying the game a lot more and like excited about like the stuff going on in the game that made me like willing to like also go buy some extra things in that game. Where like now like less and less so, like I have not bought a lot of the seasonal stuff that has come out more recently, or I just wait because I have a lot of Bright Dust saved up because I very intentionally would do that a lot, and just get like the couple things I get now here or there. But like this kind of news is not going to suddenly make me go like, oh yeah, I want to go spend more money in the fucking Eververse store. Yeah. So this again, I think the whole larger thing is like, they were already kind of having difficulties with all the stuff, and now like have to lay off people because of fucked up situations. Like this is not going to make that stuff any better in the near term. So there could be more stuff in the coming months. Unfortunately, we'll just have to see. Then the last little anecdote he had here is the ultimate goal is very much for Bungie to be a multi-IP studio with multiple games and revenue streams, but even if Marathon is a success, there are likely not plans for some huge mass migration from the Destiny team to the Marathon team, abandoning the franchise. So again, I think I said that a little bit earlier, like just the sentiment is like they've always wanted to like have multiple IPs and multiple revenue streams, and not just like the final shape was, they were, I think there was definitely fears of that, of being like, all right, they're going to do Final Shape, and then we're going to get these episodes, and then the game's going to be sort of maintenance mode, essentially, and then Marathon's going to be their thing. Like, no, that's not seem like that is going to be the case. I mean, it could be more likely now, or at least in the near term, once Marathon comes out, maybe they do slow down on Destiny so that they can now go make a bigger change to Destiny, or like essentially a Destiny 3 or something now, but that game Marathon is out till 2025 now, so there's still a whole year in between that and more.
Yeah. And we know they got to make money in that time frame, right?
Yeah. So here I'll read the last little bits of Paul's article here. That now is just more of him, just kind of his kind of points here. Again, this all seems very self-contained within Bungie, and at least in this conversation, Shoney and its own goals / live service plans rarely came up at all, though I don't know what's happening at the highest levels at this point. The general mood of most remaining at Bungie is one of anger, sadness, and fear. Anger over how the layoffs were handled, sadness over who's departed, and fear that there may be more layoffs to come, and essentially no one feels safe. However, there is a lot of faith that there is some genuinely cool stuff coming with the Final Shape that hopefully players will love. Everything seems to point towards the Final Shape being a sigh, make or break moment for Destiny. But yes, it really may be that this time. I didn't hear anything new about what maybe past episodes, which will still make it out, but the player base and revenue has to recover, and new IPs like Marathon will have to deliver. It's an extraordinarily tough time for those that lost their jobs, clearly, but also for those who remain. Some in the studio believe players actively want them to fail at times with all the negativity, but I don't believe that's true. If the game delivers, it will recover, but the current situation is going to make the road ahead extremely difficult if the goal is to reverse player retention and spending losses. To me, it feels like pinning everything on the Final Shape is too many eggs in one basket, but we'll see. I've reached out for a bunch of comment, and then we'll update if I hear back. So there you go. I kind of agree a little bit with that, of just like, I mean, like they always kind of put a lot on the expansions, and I would wonder if they maybe took a different approach to Destiny 2 as a whole, rather than doing like one big expansion. Maybe have seasonal content and like small, like still big updates, but maybe smaller things throughout the year, and maybe if that would be a little bit more manageable to them, long in the longer schemes than just having one really big one big drop a year. But I don't know. Again, that's clearly not going to be happening anytime soon. Because now we know, more than likely Final Shape is not going to be till June now. We're going to have an extra long. We're going to start a new season in a month now. I'm sure we'll get some news about that season pretty soon here, more directly. I hope it's.
We did not get a This Week in Destiny this week. It's worth noting.
Yeah.
They put out a statement that's about 3 paragraphs long about, just we mentioned it earlier. Not exactly a great response, but understandable that there was no twid, because who would
even do that? It's just that's all unfortunately just Cosmo now. Like Cosmo now has to do all of that, I guess, because he's the only social art the community people
manager.
left. And that's gotta be brutal. Yeah, that's yeah.
To the context of it all too, right? We've had a lot of conversations about Bungie and how are things going and how is the communication with the players from the team. And then we got this, obviously, a high point, I think, for the year, especially in August, from Joe when he put out this video. Felt like we were realigning, things were getting better. There was so much anger, right? People were so pissed over the summer at Destiny for, a bunch of reasons.
Yeah, reasons that in hindsight seemed even dumber than they were at the time with the news we got this week. Yeah.
Also, we're MMO players, we're just having a conversation talking about it. Obviously, I'm not including the shitty, death thready, awful people in that.
Yeah.
They can and always will get fucked, in my opinion. But things felt like they were moving in such an improved direction. Season of the Witch was a win. I think it was great. Still is great. Best season this year. Best season in the Pantheon. One of the best, I think.
Yeah.
Of seasons, and it felt like things were getting so much better, and then this guts it. I can't imagine.
This kind of destroyed everything that was slowly being built. Yeah.
All the people there that were working and still are, right? They're talking about the negativity. We know how bad the Destiny community can get with dead game bullshit and how the amount of times I've seen YouTube videos of this is ruining Destiny 2. No, this is ruining Destiny 2. And that's feels like the conversation so much. And that's video games and the internet in a lot of cases right now, which is terrible. But it having that at your back, and then this happens internally, and now you're back to basically this is the vibe on the inside is everyone's pissed, and then the vibe on the outside is the people that don't know or don't care are still pissed. And it just feels like you're getting on all sides, and now you have to deliver an expansion that has to save the game, or else where are you going to be? I cannot. It's just the worst possible situation for everyone working on this game. And I just feel like I'm sending all my love to you because we love this game. Obviously we put a lot of time into it. And B, I want Destiny to keep going and to succeed so I can keep playing it and being a part of the community and things like that.
Yeah.
But what is going to be left at a point, right? Where is it going? And what a scary thought to have,
Yeah, it's really hard to say right now, and even we don't know, and it seems like even some of the people inside Bungie don't know, and that's got to be terrifying for them for sure, to try and figure all that stuff out. But yeah, like you said, the sentiment can always be very, very negative, and I think some of that is kind of the natural cycle of these kind of games, and just things in general where when there's new stuff to talk about, it's always exciting to talk about the new things and be in all the new things, but then when everything's dried up, all that's left is to kind of look at what are the glaring issues, what are the problems, and maybe let's conflate those to get more interest, and then sometimes that stuff can take over from the things that are good and positive that are being done. So yeah, it's always that cycle, and I feel for the devs that lost their jobs this past week. I hope all the best for you if somehow any of you listen to this somehow. and continue to find a better place for you at the in the industry. A place that will hopefully not say things like you were not the right ones that we kept around, because that's just miserable. You don't feel like you should be viewed that way at your jobs. It's not on you. You're awesome at your job. You did a fantastic job, and I appreciate everything you guys did on Destiny. The people are still there. Yeah, again, my heart goes to everybody there, trying to figure things out, trying to get back on your feet. Echo Ori, like, I still like this game. Even if I don't have the drive to play it right now. I want it to be better. I want to see what you guys try and do next. I will probably, try and play more next season. And, talking again about this channel, like, I still would like to keep doing the podcast. If you want to keep doing the podcast, Auri,
yeah,
I'm probably
at least through the final shape, right? We got
at least the final shape. Again, we took a few weeks off already. Like, I don't know if we'll be back right away with another episode soon. I might be better.
We might need a break.
We might need a break. I might just be better to like wait till at least maybe the next season is like soon, and then we can maybe play catch up with some stuff. Unless like much bigger news comes out, maybe they do have like a bigger plan in like a week or two that they're gonna show to us, and maybe we'll come back to talk about that. But
we like you said at the top of the show, we were planning on doing a show because like we had to talk about you'll be able to access your vault from orbit, like things that feel like they don't fucking matter at all.
Yeah, they don't really matter right now. Yeah,
and then all this happened. We didn't expect it. The people working on the game certainly didn't expect it.
Nope.
So we at the very least, like, thankfully, all the Destiny YouTubers are like, shout out to a lot of them for like also sticking up for the people that work at Bungie. Yeah. I don't know if you have been watching the videos of.
Yeah, I've watched some stuff. Yeah, over
people
the week.
Are pissed out there, and it's not just us.
They're trying to figure out where they're going to go next, and I'm thinking about that a lot too. I'll let you continue, but I definitely have thoughts about other things we could do here on this channel. So
sure, and luckily we came from a place where we already had an outlet to talk about other video games. So like, that's still gonna happen. We're still gonna do that, and there will still be Mike and Auri stuff like Nintendo Land, no matter what. So at least for the foreseeable future. So like we have an outlet, so we don't necessarily have to worry about like, all right, if Helm to Tower goes away, and you guys want to still hang out with us, like there will be a place. But for Helm to Tower, I don't know. We'll go to the final shape for sure. I don't know if Destiny is going to keep going after that.
We really don't know what we're going to do with that. And something I've been floating around in my head as this week has progressed, and I don't know how much. It's something I've been thinking about, because there's also something that like in general, like having played many hours of Destiny. And coming to that realization of like, I do enjoy a lot of the style of game and like a live game. I do try and dabble with other ones. Not like there's definitely ones I've not really tried because I already had. Like obviously I had Destiny and that was the one. So now that one's much more up in the air. I do want to maybe branch out and try other games in this vein, to maybe also. Not only just play myself, but also maybe cover on this channel. Because I don't want this to be a thing where it's like, now we're probably going to be doing less episodes and we already have like weeks at a time where we're not really having like stuff go up here. So I don't want this channel to just be like as dead, I guess. I don't know, whatever to say.
Graveyard.
But sure. At the same time, it's like, we're like, we're a tiny channel anyway, regardless. But so ultimately I think I will try and branch out. There's already some kind of games in the similar vein that I've like already been playing recently, like Wayfinder and like things like that, where I might do some like more not podcasty things, but maybe just like guide videos or just general impressions of those. I might also just make playing those games content essentially, in terms of like, hey, I want to try. Hey, I never played Warframe, or like I played Final Fantasy 14 like months like for like. Back in 2020 and like never came back to it. What's it like now? Hey, I know people who like play like Phantasy Star 2, do Genesis, and even though that seems somehow also like a complete show. Maybe I'll just jump into it and see how it goes, and maybe I'll like it. Because that's always the thing, right? Because you can look at the sentiment of Destiny and be like, dead game, dead game, dead game. But we love it and enjoy and play. I played thousands of hours of it and love it a lot. So there's always the opportunity where I could jump in one of these games and end up liking it a lot and want to get more in depth with it in terms of that. So, I might, in terms as the same way as a lot of the bigger creators are probably going to branch out and look at other games and covering more general gaming stuff. Like you said, our main Irrational Passion channel, we already do that. We have our Nintendo show. We're probably going to have some other like non-Nintendo stuff on there soon, like talking about Alan Wake 2 and some other stuff probably soon here. We usually had a lot more other videos like viewpoints and stuff, but those have been on hiatus a little bit just because, again, of our own personal life story going on as somebody who was the main sole producer of a lot of those videos.
Yeah.
So I do want to, but I do want to also look at this channel as like a way to maybe not necessarily cover just Destiny, but also cover games in the vein of Destiny, because I have learned that I do enjoy other games in the genre, but I never looked at them as like content sources or content creation sources. So yeah, I might dabble in some of that stuff. So you might see some non-Destiny content in the coming like days and weeks here on this channel. And if you like that stuff, that's cool. If not, then that's also fine too. If you just kind of here for the Destiny talk, that's fine too. Like we're still going to do that. We're still going to do that in some shape or form. It just will not be even as frequent as we were, because normally it was usually we'd have a big content drop and we'd have a few consistent weeks, and then we'd fall off. And then like I think this is going to push that even harder in that direction as we kind of get into that. But who knows? Maybe they'll have some more interesting stuff to show us sooner rather than later with next season. But I don't have any faith at the moment, personally, if I'm just being honest. So that's why I also want to try other stuff and jump in other things and maybe just see how I feel, and if people like it, like that, how like what I do or like that kind of stuff, then I'll do more. If not, then I'll just maybe stick to like things I myself personally really enjoy playing and make content, because that's ultimately how this happened. Was I just we both really playing Destiny, and we wanted to have an outlet to talk stuff about Destiny without taking over our main channel that we do.
Every other content. Viewpoints of the two of us just like, all right, yeah, but did you check out this gun?
Yeah, what's up with Destiny right now? Let's talk about Destiny.
That was a good era though, for sure.
yeah, it was a good time.
I definitely still want to do like the standalone videos for Destiny and potentially other things. So. Yeah, I mean, I think if that sounds interesting, what Mike you're saying, you should go check out your video review of Wayfinder. There's already stuff over there for that game. Yeah, and that'll probably be something at least one game I look to cover just a little bit, as it's still kind of getting off its feet. It's still pretty small, but that might be like a game that you'll see around here. But I'll probably look at some other stuff like Final Fantasy 14 maybe, or other games in this genre. Maybe I'll get crazy and look at like something like Diablo 4, even though I've never really played Diablo 4, or other stuff. So we'll again, just throwing out ideas, so this channel just does not become like you get one podcast maybe like a month and then that's kind of it. So we'll figure it out. We're just like we're all figuring it out. We're all figuring it out because we don't know what the future of this game is. Hope for the best, but at the end of the day, for the worst.
End of the day, I'd rather just do stuff that feels right, and it does feel right to like try and branch out and see before then. But yeah, Helm Tower podcast. That's going to do it for this episode, I think. Not a fun one. Again, heart goes out to the developers.
Yes, for sure. We love Destiny and we love the Bungie that made it, right? Like the actual people that worked on it.
Yep.
And I'm just so sorry that this is happening.
Yeah.
And we, I will be there for the final shape. I will see this stuff through. I will absolutely want to hear Michael Salvatore's The Final Shape soundtrack.
Yeah.
And I will be livid the whole time, partially because there won't be another one potentially.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
all the love
yeah,
to Bungie folks.
yeah, it'll be definitely some bittersweet moments over the next few months for Destiny. And I hope all the best for the people that got laid off when they shouldn't have, and the people that are left to pick up the pieces,
weathering the storm still. Yeah,
picking up the pieces and figuring out what's next. I hope the best for everyone, and I'll also be around to see what's next. We'll again, we'll probably be a few weeks again until another episode. We'll probably come back. I'll say let's say maybe the week before the new season or close to the new season.
Yeah,
we might just do it the week of, because honestly the week before when we would record this would be Thanksgiving weekend, because it's out like,
that's right.
It's out like the very end of this month.
29th. Yeah, I'll be in San Francisco. So
yeah. So yeah, we might end up just having an episode when that season actually is out. We'll figure it out. But there might be some other video stuff that's not Destiny related before then.
We'll talk about the stuff, like the exciting stuff. The auto rifles doing more damage and things like we'll get there.
Yeah.
Just give us a minute.
Yeah. Just need a little bit more time to process all the other stuff and figure out where we're at. But yeah, thanks everybody again, for watching here on YouTube, for this venting session and all this rough news. We appreciate it. Whoa!
Did you see that?
I did see that.
I did a heart, and then it put hearts on it. What is happening?
Whoa. I don't know. How did you do?
I don't know. It might be a Mac thing.
Yeah, that sounds like good. Anyway.
I didn't
video
mean
viewers
for this to happen.
Yeah,
video viewers.
You just learned a new magic trick there. Holy crap! Yeah. But yeah, video viewers, that was for you guys, the hearts. But yeah, also thank you to the podcast listeners out there as well.
Yes,
always appreciated wherever you're watching or listening, and thanks for sticking with us. Mm-hmm. And we'll keep sticking it out. But yeah, that's gonna do it for this episode. We'll see y'all next time. Bye.
Bye.